Well, good morning. This is Hiro again. What we're doing today is Niwaki pines, Japanese black pine here. And I'm going to do it in two parts. This is the part one. This one, in October, I think it was, I did the major pruning, opened it up, so this one is more or less the way it should be. Okay, first thing we should do is to look at the candles. See the candle here? Candle here, candle here. They're relatively the same size. Well, in the pine, they tend to be top growers, so the candles up here tend to get stronger. That would be considered out of balance. But this is in relatively good balance. Well, what happens is if the top is very strong and this is very weak, we don't do this whole thing in one shot. But today everything is relatively close together, so we will go ahead and proceed on. Okay, almost always, see, this is the center candle and there's clustered around it. Remove the center candle completely. And then these get broken or cut, so there's only 1/4 or a third left. And that becomes the new needles that will take the place of these. So these older ones, you can remove it, or in time it will fall off. There's a lot of different techniques based on who's doing it. Well, this one here, remove the center candle, right? And this, remove the center candle. But the secondary has not come out much yet, so we'll wait till it's like this and then break it off. After college, I was traveling through Japan. Well, I was working, but very light work. And so as I traveled throughout Japan, the black pines, it seemed like there was a different technique from one region to another. Well, you know, these will grow well in Niigata, where I stayed. Niigata is next to Nagano, where they had the Winter Olympics. And they will also grow in Las Vegas. Oh, you know me, and I like Las Vegas, right? So anyway, I've been watching how they will grow. So it'll take hot desert condition into snow country. Now, especially in the snow country, they prune things differently. Well, depends. If they wanted to just do the pruning, they take almost everything off but a few of the absolutely necessary. They take all these needles off, so the snow will pass through. But in some of the fancier places, like the place I stayed, they actually have the winter look by putting ropes and then supporting it. Another way to avoid damage in the snow is to put a big pole and then put rope on each one of these branches, in a very artistic way too, so that it will not break the branches. So if you see different people on YouTube explaining it differently, that's probably the norm. So I think I told you here where it's very hot, I have to make sure that by summer this area gets full so that the trunk is protected from the setting sun and scorching. So if you stay on top and stay with the schedule, having a black pine Niwaki is a relatively simple process. Twice a year, pruning will keep it in check. Keeping it in check is relatively easy, but getting this far was not. This particular tree is probably 30-year-ish. My 40 plus ones are mostly gone. I have a few, but they were the best looking ones, so mostly they're gone. But to get this movement and taper that looks very natural required time and skill applied at the right time. So unlike, junipers and other fast growing things, you cannot rush a good pine. If you get pressed for time, what you should do is always take care of the top. You don't have time to do everything. Let the bottom go and make sure these don't get really strong and get out of balance. So a lot of times I walk around with kind of the extended pruner and just remove the top so that I can maintain this when I get busy. It's getting a little bit better now because I have less plants to maintain. It's been my habit to keep a lot of these lower branches. Many of these are not keepers. It's just there to fatten that area and to protect from the sun. Now, if you were in Los Angeles or other areas where it gets hot, but not the 100 plus degrees, most of the time you don't need to do that. And if you're like in the San Francisco area where it's always cool and never get extremely hot, yes, we could open these up and then show off the trunk. But it's very dangerous to do that here because our weather. That's one of the things that I learned rather quickly. Well, my teacher that taught me the Niwaki maintenance and development, if you're wondering about this pruner, these are, well, it looks just like a bonsai tool, but they're made for Niwaki. They're garden variety and it's made heavy duty. And on a bonsai tool, you will never use both hands, but these are stout so that, when you get in a jam, instead of going and get the lopper, you could use both hands and cut. This round is done, but what I notice is, I'm losing some of the soil, so I need to repot. Well, in your regular nursery trade, when you have a situation like that, they put soil on top. That's why when you buy materials from a general nursery, you have to dig away the dirt to look for the roof flare. So this one gets popped out and then add the soil on the bottom and bring it back up to the surface. I'll show you that after I get done. Well, it's a good thing I still have my engine hoist. It's leftover from my landscape days. I had a friend that used to fix my truck, and we found that it was cheaper to buy this thing than to rent. So, yeah, this thing is over 50 years old, I think. A little persuasion. Okay, so what we do is to scratch the sides, see, like this, and then scratch the bottom and put the fresh soil on the bottom so that this comes up. Do not add the soil on top. And then whether it's a big Niwaki or small bonsai material, it's the same process. When it gets too low, don't add the soil on top. Raise the thing by putting soil on the bottom. Okay, there's soil on the bottom of the pot. So I just lower this back in. So now there's only a small space, but we're gonna put the soil back in the outer edge, and we're okay. We're done. Most likely I'll do this with water because it's very tight space in there. Okay, now see, the soil brought up closer to the rim makes it look better. And also, I've added another 2-3 inches of soil on the bottom, so this plant thinks it's in a bigger pot. So anyway, I think I'm going to call it quits for this chapter. This has been maintaining Japanese black pine Niwaki in the spring. See you again real soon in another chapter. Thank you for watching.